welcome to the Faith and Life podcast. My name is Mike Weaver, lead pastor at St. Luke, and this is
Greg Osborne.
Greg, the student.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me like Greg, the ultimate warrior. It's like some cool nickname, and it was like
Take
Greg.
two. Greg, the ultimate warrior, student pastor.
I like it. I dig it. Like, you know, like I want like we should have like code names. Only like my name's Greg, the coolest person in Gehenna, and then like every week we just change it up. It's like,
okay,
my name's Mike, the improv extraordinaire.
There we go. Hey, you got a question for us?
I do. This is an interesting question because it came up in my marriage. This was a debate for us at some point, and I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Where in the house does the syrup go?
Where does the syrup go? Oh, that's a good question. It's the similar question. Where's the ketchup go?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the syrup goes in two places in our house.
Okay.
I don't have one answer.
Ooh.
So it depends the type of syrup.
Okay.
Pure maple syrup stays in the fridge.
Yep.
Non-pure syrup goes in the pantry.
Okay.
So, because I had to learn that.
Yeah.
Because it was not a point of contention, but it was a question mark in my mind why Darcy kept putting the syrup like Mrs. Butterworth.
Yeah, I don't remember which ones they are. Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this in the pantry? It's like, why is this ketchup in the pantry? It should be in the fridge. And Darcy's like, it doesn't have to be in the fridge. I'm like, yes, it does. But it became this friendly conversation. So it sounded like you had the similar conversation.
I grew up in a household where the Mrs. Butterworth syrup was in the fridge.
Yes.
And I always, 10 years after I had my house of my own, I went in the fridge. Mm-hmm. Got married with Stacy, went in the fridge. It was until my mother-in-law came over one time. I was like, why do y'all put your syrup in the fridge? Like then it's cold when it comes out. It doesn't come out smooth. I'm like, because it needs to be in the fridge.
Yes.
She's like, no, it doesn't. And sadly, we put it in the cupboard now. Like, we were like, okay, we did. But there's a part of me that's like, I kind of like it cold, though. Like, I've grown with that taste. Like, I like the cold syrup. There's it within a hot pancake, so...
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I like that. I like cold. I don't mind cold syrup. I don't say I like it, but I don't mind it. Darcy has to heat up her syrup to put it on a pancake or a waffle. Now, we learned the hard way with the pure maple syrup. Like we put that in the pantry. It got mold. It was used quick. Yeah. So we're like, okay, lesson learned. This has to be.
But what's ironic is, ask us where our ketchup is. It's still in the fridge.
Is it?
Yes, I didn't know that. We go through ketchup more than anybody else, I feel like, in the world. And it is 100% in the fridge.
Yeah. It's in our pantry. And it's still a mental thing for me. As I pull it out of the pantry, I'm thinking, is this good? Is it okay to eat? Because I'm thinking it needs to be in the fridge. But I even saw a television, like a story about that said, it doesn't need to be in the fridge.
Yeah. My hot sauce is in my fridge too.
Your hot sauce is?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't even know, but you can go to Firehouse Sub and all their hot sauces are up there. But
yeah. And
I'm fine with that. I have no mind, but my mental block is I can't get it out of keeping it in the fridge, and it doesn't need to go there. Yeah.
That's
interesting. I think it's just a great example of how much things that were just commonplace to you as a kid, how it infiltrates into who you are as a person growing up, and you don't even think anything of it till someone goes, you don't have to do that.
Exactly. Which is a great segue, because we're talking about families, basically parenting with faith. And
it's not my first rodeo. I can transition with anybody, Mike. It's a smooth transition.
Smooth transition.
Call me Carlos Santana.
Right. I mean, I think it's a really important topic.
Yeah.
And I think it's closer to home for you because you have two small kids in your house, two girls. I mean, all our boys are now grown, and we've gone through those stages. But, for you, what is it, parenting with faith with two small kids in your house?
I mean, it's everything for us right now of trying to figure out what our dynamic is and how our faith represents who we are. And, the getting them into Sunday school, we're blessed at St. Luke. We have a great children's ministry with Erin, and what she does and her team for these kids, and the stuff that goes into that. So our kids are at the phase of life where they're still excited about that. So it's like, how could we not want to do that, right? They like going to church. They like seeing their friends. They like going to the kids' choir. VBS is a highlight of our summer. So, but it was something that and I think it's because we've instinctively started it since they were from the get-go, right? Like my kids, there's a little difference of my kids, they grew up in the church. They lived at the church their early years when I was watching them grow up before they got into school. Like they came to work with me. And so they are there even more. And so, but like figuring out what is important for us, kind of like what we talked about last week with that busyness episode, the same thing for us of like, if we don't set kind of parameters in our life now, it's going to get harder, right? Like my girls are in dance, my girls are in gymnastics. And guess what? When they come on the weekends, it's going to be Sundays and stuff like that. So how do we incorporate our faith? And it's going to change obviously as they get older and more into stuff. But if we're hoping if we can get that rooted in them at an early age that, maybe if they are traveling, like, there is other opportunities on a Sunday, maybe even if it's not at St. Luke or something, that they can still get that faith experience. So, for us, it was making an important priority for us in our faith at this stage. So hopefully it can stay with that. And, and for some it does and some it doesn't. And, we're just trying to navigate the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting is this topic of parenting with faith it's been around since the beginning of the movement of Christianity, as parents try to pass on the faith to their kids. But structurally, 500 years ago, Martin Luther understood this to be true because he wrote the Catechism.
Yeah, Luther's Small Catechism.
Luther's Small Catechism is precisely the first homeschool experiment of faith, really. That's my take on it. Like, he wrote it for parents to teach their kids in the home about what do we believe to be true about the Lord's Prayer, the Creed, and the Ten Commandments. And the large catechism is like the advanced version for parents to go even deeper than the small catechism. So it's very structural in that way Luther had for the families of his day. Yeah. And it's still maintained.
And I think that's an important aspect for us that I think culturally there's been a shift at some point where it is the pastor's job, the youth pastor, the children's pastor, to teach your kids about faith. And I would push back against that a little bit, that it still needs to be in the home. Because, look at church leadership as like trainers. Like, if you're still not eating right, you're still not going to the gym daily, you show up to your trainer once a week, to kind of perfect stuff, it's not gonna do much good for you, right? And I think that's the same with for families with kids. Like, that's the way we structure our catechism program at St. Luke, is very heavy on that a parent comes alongside with the kid to go through, the program, that 12-week part, because I want them to have that dialogue. I want them to have the conversation. If we're in the young stage right now with our kids at elementary, of having a first and a second grader. I work with middle school and high school kids. I know how middle school and high school kids work. And I know when you ask them, hey, what'd you learn at school today? They say, stuff. Yeah. Nothing. And so, like, for me at catechism, I don't want that to be an answer. Like, oh, what'd you learn about at church? Jesus. Right. Like, I want them to be able to say, hey, that was an interesting thought. What do you think about this idea of Jesus being fully God and fully human? Like, how's that work? What are your thoughts on the Trinity? That they can go through that class and have that same knowledge as the student, that then they can have that dialogue. Because quite frankly, if a kid comes to everything I offer, between church on Sunday morning, Sunday, life group, and then if there's another activity, we're talking maybe what's the most? I get to see those kids 3 hours a week, and that's at like probably max. Y'all see your kids more than 3 hours a day, right? Like, so like there has to be a tonal shift that like the church, I think, really does need to come alongside and be partners with the families. And I think that's what St. Luke has tried to shift our programming for, of not like, hey, it's all just we build it, you come to us, and we're experts, we know what we're doing. We're still trying to figure some of this stuff out too. We're coming alongside parents, hopefully, and saying, how can we help you, being the heads of your house, raise your kids and have it be a faith that sticks?
Exactly. And that faith that sticks reminds me of the question, the whole adage of caught and taught. Like, so how can faith be caught as much as taught in the home? Like, from your experience and from it being in the church for a long time, you're a dad. Like, how can it be caught as much as taught?
I mean, I think it's natural. Like I remember it being caught when I was a kid because of it was taught. Like my dad, if anybody asked like who was the biggest influence in my faith, it was always my dad. That's what I said. And my mom was is a great woman of God too. Like it's not a thing, but it was like my dad was who I connected with, who I saw reading his Bible at home, and for his daily devotions. He was a Sunday school teacher. He was in the church serving. He was on councils and financial committees and all of this stuff. And so, like, I saw him doing his faith and living it out. And so, like, it wasn't just like, hey, Greg, you need to go to youth group because it's good for you. I saw what it was doing for him. Like I got to see as a kid. And now, did I have the hindsight and perspective as a kid then going like, oh man, look what my dad's like. He's thriving because he's going into doing this faith, right? Like it's something I can look back and say, no, I saw that and I might not have been able to put it together, but I did. And that's what it was. And I think for me, it's how do we emulate that into our house? Because our kids pick up so much of who we are. My kids are in the phase right now where they love to draw pictures of me and them, and for birthdays. So I just had a birthday recently, and
by the way, I mean, how old are you now?
According to y'all, I'm still in my 30s. I don't know how it works, but I turned 40, but I'm still in my last of my 30s decade. I don't know. Talk to Pastor Chris; she'll explain that to you. Right. But they draw pictures, right? It's me, and it's me. I have a beard, I have a hat on. And then there's always stuff around that I like, and that like who represents me. Like there's a Batman symbol, or there's a comic book. Today, this last birthday, I think there was a phone. I was like, oh no! Like there was a phone, but there wasn't a Bible. Like or like there, so like for me, those are gut check realities too. Like kids are smart; they pick up of like. Oh, if I'm always on my phone, they're going to think I like my phone and it's like, no, you don't see me all the other times where I'm reading my Bible, but as a reminder, I'm like, no, I still need to find time to figure out what I'm trying to teach to parents and students as a leader in the church, that I still have to do that in my own home as well. Like, because I can sit here on the podcast and say, yeah, you parents, you guys need to come along the faith. And then I'm like, hey, you got kids at home too, Greg. Make sure you're doing it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That's really good. I remember when I was in high school, I was dating this girl that her family was very active in the church. And on the wall in their home, in the dining room or the living room, I'm not sure which one, but it was a public, like a lot of people going through this space. It was a quote from the book of Joshua. Choose ye this day who you will serve. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Right? Right out of Joshua, Old Testament book. And it always stuck with me.
Yeah.
As a teenager, I'd never seen a Bible quote on anybody's wall. Mm-hmm. That was significant. But then I realized that's not just on their wall. That's in that mom and dad. Because I saw that faith lived out when I would have dinners with them, and the prayer that the dad would pray before dinner, and the way the type of conversations that they had, and the care that he showed me and other people. Mm-hmm. I really respected her dad in that way. And so it became this learning the faith by osmosis in some ways from that family. And what I appreciated was the integrity that they had. Again, it just wasn't something they pointed to as something, that'd be a nice ideal. No, this is true for us as a lived reality, that verse. Mm-hmm. We are choosing the Lord on a daily basis. And not that I had long spiritual conversation with him, I didn't. But I noticed his behavior, and I noticed how he treated people. Mm-hmm. That really made a difference to me. I caught something from him.
Yeah, and I think that's the reality of it. I think very oftentimes we try to just speak it into existence of like, oh, let's have this conversation, let's have this faith debate, let's have this faith. But if we're not living it, if we're not being able, people can just see like there's something different about this person. You can say all you want, it's going to go in one ear and out the other, right? If it doesn't sync up with how you're living too. So I look at it of like, parenting is hard, it's tough, and every kid's different. Every kid's going to be unique, and every situation's going to be great, different. And coming alongside parenting with people of faith, I think, is important too. Like, that's why I look at the church is important to get parents involved in the church, like, so we can come alongside, but also so that you have a support system. You have a small group. You have a place that, like, when you're struggling or frustrated with your kids, like, you're not feeling all alone. Like, we talk about all the time, like, you see on social media, you only see the highlight reels for the most part. You don't see, like, oh my goodness, my kids drove me insane today, and I love my kids. They're the best. But you asked me last night, I would have said, ooh, I don't like you right now, right? Yeah. But you don't see that. They don't show that in the church. They don't show that at school. And so then, like, to an outside, you're like, oh, everything's perfect with them, and, they're great. And so I think it's important to have people that are around you in the like-minded with too. Like, that's like going to church and having the people that are trying to raise their kids in the faith to support you too. So when you're struggling and going through it, you're like, you're not alone. We've been in this series so much about community, and I think community is so important too with what we're doing with raising kids too, because parenting is tough and it takes a village to raise our kids. Absolutely.
So especially when kids become middle school kids and high school kids, so that's your world.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about that time of life, they're looking for mentors and other influences outside mom and dad. Mom and dad will always be in that world for that kid. But they start listening to coaches and teachers, and they begin influenced by this person and that person, that influencer, so on and so forth. And so it's really being mindful of who's speaking into our kids' lives, right? Because they're catching things from these folks. But those people are so vital for their faith development. Yeah. Any person like that, and that's been your experience as well. Yeah. Why the church is so important in this way. Well, and I think it is important because there are times, there's avenues that you're going to want people speaking into your kid's life that you trust and you value and you understand. Like, there's been multiple times where even preaching to kids where I'm like, I'll have a conversation and then talk about this faith aspect, and it doesn't seem like anything sticks. And then I'll bring in a guest preacher out of camp and they'll say the exact same thing I said. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've never heard it like that before. I'm like, what? I just told you that. 18 that, and then that's parenting in a nutshell, right? Like, what do you mean? I tell you this all the time. You just need to hear it from a different voice because you're so familiar with it and it gets blocked out and stuff. And so it is important to figure out, are we putting our people in the lives of our kids that we want them to hear that voice? Are we putting them in position? Because people are going to hear about stuff no matter what, right? Someone's going to be speaking into your kid's life, and you want to make sure who is, because of the community. And I think that's where faith comes into it, of having a community of faith people here, that of adults who just watching kid come up and hug somebody who was their VBS leader, cool moment right there. Like this is an adult who in any other situation you wouldn't see them, you wouldn't know who they are, but because an adult took time to spend a week with a kid, this kid now knows another trusted adult in the church and says, hey, I want to hug you because I miss hanging out with you each day, as a person. What a cool experience for that, and to have people pouring into your kids' lives. So again, the more we can get families involved in the church, the more we can get the church to involve around side families. Those are the moments that are wins, that you're not doing it alone. Absolutely. I think about, in hindsight, one of the reasons why I stayed in the church, or I even thought that was a possibility for me when I was in college, was because there were two people in my life. My mom, and there was a guy who taught our high school Sunday school class. he didn't teach it so much. We had conversations at McDonald's. We would show up at the church, and then he would say, hey, let's go to McDonald's and have an Egg McMuffin. And he'd take all of us to Egg McMuffin. He'd buy. And we're like, okay, great. And then we'd be back in an hour back to church. And what he was doing was he was normalizing this group, but also he did what my mom did, fielded the tough questions. Yeah. We were able to ask tough faith questions and wrestle with things, which gave me permission to ask questions, number one. But I was struck by how they weren't threatened by the questions. But questions can be threatening, especially if an adult doesn't know what the answer is. Just to have the space to ask the questions. Because high school kids, they have them.
Yeah.
Middle school kids, they've got them. And it's not bad. It's just part of the process of learning and growing.
Yeah, and we do that on catechism. We'll have kids ask questions, and sometimes the adults will ask a question, and I say, I don't have a good answer for that right now. Yeah. I'm like, let me talk with Mike, and I'll get back to you. And if Mike doesn't have a good answer, I'll find Pastor Chris. And if Chris doesn't have a good answer, we'll find someone else.
Right.
We'll get there, and we'll figure it out.
Exactly. We'll piece together, and even if we end up going, it's still unfinished. It's okay.
And we work it out together.
We work it out together because we're all in this together, helping each other grow, and providing that space for that growth to happen. Vitally important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, it's a never-ending task of parenting with faith. It's been around forever, and we're doing our level best to do that. Help parents and families, and help you with your kids, and as we continue our journey together.
Absolutely.